like we're in hell or something.
No, it's Hill Valley, although I can't imagine hell being much worse.
Evening, my name is 𝐒𝐚𝐦𝐚𝐫, and this is Overtime. We are learning that a farm worker has died. There was a raid yesterday in Ventura County, California. The raid apparently, in that raid, they apparently seized as many as 200 workers. The raid took enough time that it allowed a protest to start. The protesters, the violence erupted, and at least one worker was injured, and we have learned that he has died. The local channel, let's see, it's 𝐒𝐸LA, has been reaching out to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security multiple times, requesting a comment. They haven't given any. What we do know is that a number of people are also still missing. Their status is not known. Because they are missing, and this was on a farm, ostensibly they are in custody of some kind. However, given that ICE has been taking people into custody and not notifying people, not giving them their phone call, nothing like that, nobody knows where these people are. We do know some of them are U.S. citizens, which would suggest that they are being detained illegally. This would not be the first time, so it's not staggering news, but obviously it's a serious problem. Whether they have determined the immigration status of all 200 workers or not has yet to be determined, but a number of them were American citizens. We also know that Trump is attempting to fast-track stripping any number of American citizens of their citizenship. We've had that discussion before. We won't get into that again. We do have linked down in the description the previous show that we had earlier today, because the one of the things that we're going to talk about is basically the topic of that show. Before we do that, we do have footage. This is footage of that incident in which the worker was killed. And we have more information on that, and more footage. There's footage on the 𝐒𝐸LA report, which is in the breaking news section of our Discord. If anybody would like to see it, we capture that stuff as quickly as we can before it gets taken down. Oftentimes, it comes down pretty quickly. So, having said that, we broke earlier with Alan Dershowitz, who was claiming that he essentially had seen the Epstein list. There was a list. He had seen it. He knew who was on it. It was important and powerful people. But because of confidentiality and because of a, quote, judge and cases, he could not speak on it. So it suggests a gag order and client privilege, which is not his to violate. I've been following that and a few other Twitter threads. A lot of the things that people are saying is, well, there was one very interesting one. It's like, well, we should, if they get to break the rules, why don't we? And I'm sitting there going, like, again, and I said this on the previous stream, so I'm just going to assume for the most part people understand this concept, which is this is a fundamental principle of law. that we're talking about, that he is, and I'm not a fan of Dershowitz at all, but a lawyer breaking confidentiality is, once that's permitted, the rule of law is over. You're not going to get lawyers anymore. There's no point in hiring a lawyer anymore, and there's a reason you have a right to an attorney. There's a reason that that's considered part of the Constitution. So as much as I'd like him to speak, I understand why he can't and support that. Having said that, we discussed this on the previous stream. And other people have said, well, maybe this will push Congress to act. The problem is there's too much of a likelihood of members of Congress being on that list. So how and whether or not they'll act, and they're also beholden to Trump. So what we said literally just a couple of hours ago is that the real hope was that what Dershowitz would succeed in doing is keeping this fresh and reminding MAGA that this was, in fact, important to them. This was very important to them, largely in part because they really believed that the Clintons were strongly involved. So they have been very active in, and I think because they want transparency. I think the MAGA genuinely wants government transparency, and I think we need more of that, and they've got, that is one of the several legitimate points that I think they've got. So the hope is, and I've said this before, this is why you don't demonize people on the other side. If they hold to their values, they're going to be very upset by this. So what we had suggested on the last show was he's really talking to them, and if they take it seriously, that can apply pressure that we're not going to see coming out of Congress, we're not going to see coming anywhere else. So I didn't expect that to happen so quickly. So what we saw today, it turns out Axios is reporting that the assistant director, or deputy director of the FBI, Don Bongino, did not show up for work today. There is some indication as to whether he just, took a personal day or just didn't show up, but he did not show up. He wasn't there, and to the best of our understanding, it took a while before people realized he just decided he wasn't coming into work. Apparently last night, there was a clash at the White House between him and Pam Bondi over her handling of the Epstein files. It looks like he is preparing his resignation, and that he is going to say that either she be fired for her handling of it or he quit. On the assumption that that is happening, a number of people have been coming out on various social media to talk about this, including but not limited to Congressman Tim Burchett, who has said that he stands with Mr. Bongino, and rumors that FBI Director Kash Patel is considering resigning as well. Now, this makes things interesting for a number of reasons. Donald Trump promised to drain the swamp, and while I think most of us on this side have been unimpressed with his choices, they are outside of Washington. I would be flabbergasted if Patel was on the Epstein list. I would be flabbergasted. We know the Clintons were connected to Epstein. We know Trump was connected to Epstein. Bondi probably wasn't. Neither was Kash Patel. Neither was Don Bongino. Most of the people Trump has surrounded himself with are outside of that circle. So there is, in my view, the possibility. Well, let me rephrase that. I'm going to play the video. We played this before, but I'm going to play it, and I want you to I'm going to pause it. See how quick I can be on the trigger finger. I'm going to pause it as we hit certain points, because I want to point out a few things. These are the times that since he's been in office, somebody has called for the release of the Epstein files. Oh, and of course, that's the end of it, not the beginning.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah.
All right. Just that right there. Significant pause and hesitation as far. Now, that could be because he doesn't even know what the Epstein files are. I don't know, but we've seen him full of bluster. We've seen him, oh, yeah, I would declassify everything. So I don't know what this pause means, but first thing to notice.
All right. Yes, I would.
Release the list.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
Will you?
Okay. The way he kind of smiles at that and talks about that, I think he doesn't care whether the list gets released or not. I think he's bullshitting. He's just, yeah, you think it's important, so I'm going to tell you, yeah, it's important, I don't care. But if he doesn't care, that means he's not on the list.
You work with me on this issue so we know who worked with Jeffrey Epstein in building these sex trafficking rings.
Absolutely, Senator. Child sex trafficking has no place in the United States of America, and I will do everything, if confirmed as FBI director, to make sure the American public knows the full weight of what happened in the past and how we are going to countermand missing children and exploited children going forward.
All right. I'm going to tell you something. I am no fan of Kash Patel, but he seems that's genuine. I'm going to go out and say he is being genuine there. And this is not a man who is A, on the list, or B, thinks that Trump is on the list. This is a man who means it and thinks that this is a slam dunk, easy win. And he comes out and this is a full-throated support that he knows if he were on that list, he would know for a fact this is going to bite him in the ass. So this is a man, and this is, if you look at his eyes, he's sincere, completely sincere.
Missing children and exploited children going forward.
Just last week, the president's excellent pick for FBI Director Kash Patel vowed to work with me in releasing the Epstein records and breaking apart the trafficking rings that harm countless women and children across our country.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive.
All right. Honestly, and people may disagree with me on this, I think she's being sincere here. I think she genuinely believes that it's going to be released and that she's been told, and Trump changes his mind on everything all the time. But at this point, she believes it's going to be released.
By President Trump, I'm reviewing that.
All this evidence is sitting in the Southern District of New York.
Yep.
So based on that, I gave them the deadline, Friday at 8, a truckload of evidence arrived. It's now in the possession of the FBI. Kash is going to get me and himself, really, a detailed report as to why.
This is sincere. It sounds completely sincere. And again, she's really outside the system. So there's no reason to think that she'd have any reason not to want that list out.
All these documents and evidence had been withheld. It's a new administration, and everything's going to come out to the public. The public has a right to know. Americans have a right to know.
I know the Attorney General has committed to releasing those files. I would defer you to the Department of Justice on her timeline, but when she's...
Okay. The press secretary, Levitt, by this point already knows that it's not going to be released. And the way I can tell is because every time she's talked in the past, and she's talked before talking to the president when the president's changed his mind, and the president's like, no, we're literally going to go another way on Gaza. And she goes, the president of the United States would never do this. He'd never, and then turns out. So here she's passing the buck. She is refusing to say it's going to be released. She's saying, go talk to DOJ. And you can tell she's nervous about it. She's nervous. So she already knows it's not going to be released. She has been told it's not going to be released.
has committed to releasing those files. I would defer you to the Department of Justice on her timeline, but when she's made a promise in the past, she has kept it, and I'm certain that she will in this case as well.
Welcome back, everybody. 20 minutes to the top of the hour. Case closed. The Justice Department revealing Jeffrey Epstein died by suicide and insists there is no secret client list out there.
All right. So how did we get from what appeared to be these genuine concerns to where we are now? There's only one possible way that I can think of, and that's that Donald Trump said, don't release it. And or somebody saw something in there and said. So now you've got a legitimate problem, because Pat Bondi is going to know why it's not going to want to be released. So will Kash Patel. So will Bongino. So all of them are in a bind, because my suspicion is when they signed up to help the Trump administration, it was explicitly to avoid helping him cover things up. They may be sycophants. I think they are. But I think even as sycophants, there's a line. So if that's the case, what we might be looking at here is a wall of people who are going to be willing to resign over the fact that Trump is not going to release this, and the fact that Trump is it looks like, not going to release it. The idea that, well, the list never existed is, by the way, typical Trump. He's just like, well, truth is very fluid with him. So, I guess I want to try not to read too much into this. But in my view, the fact that the FBI deputy director refused to show up because he got into a fight with Pat Bondi, and Pat Bondi seemed genuine to me in most of those videos, so I have to believe it's not her choice not to release them. And the reason there's a fight is because she's following orders. She's doing as the president is instructing her. And the FBI director is upset about that. Deputy director. If Kash Patel meant what he said in that testimony, and that is one of the times I've seen him talk a lot, he seemed genuine there. And that's not by the way, that's not a huge limb to go out on, saying that, well, we're gonna stop pedophiles. That's not particularly controversial. So he looked like he meant that. So now he's got a problem. They all have A, political problems, and B, problems going forward, because I don't think they would want to work for Trump if it's something really bad in there. And we don't know. We don't know. So let's keep in mind, we're speculating. Part of what we do here sometimes is speculate and do educated guesses. But the fact Trump values loyalty above all else. He almost got kicked out of the White House by the use of the 25th Amendment when his cabinet decided he was no longer fit to serve. And the only reason his cabinet failed to eject him was because even though they had sufficient votes to do it, Pence said he would not. Pence did not agree. They said, look, you're about to become president, FYI. He said, no, I'm not. You're not going to do this. And they decided not to do it because Pence doesn't officially get a say, but he was just like, no. So they didn't do it. Trump is aware of that, which is why this cabinet, the number one priority isn't, are they qualified? It's not even, are they a Republican or conservative? It's, are they loyal to him? Because that was what almost got him last time, was the 25th Amendment. He's avoiding that now. And yet, we've got the deputy director refusing to come into work after a fight with Pam Bondi over her failure to release this information, which ostensibly she wants released. The only way that I can see that happening, and I'm sure there are other ways, but the only way that I see is that Trump ordered her not to, so she is following orders, and everyone there who hasn't seen it can add and say there's only one reason he'd break this campaign promise. How much money is he spending on building the wall that Mexico was supposed to pay for? But we'll let that go. Building the wall, doing the deportations, doing everything he said he would, except this. And everybody knows his name is on the list. Now, that list that I'm referring to the broader list of his contacts, not necessarily people that went to the island, but people that he knew. He knew the Clintons. The Clintons used his plane. So did Trump. So did a lot of people on all sides. So if Trump suddenly says, no, I'm not going to, at the last minute, we are not fulfilling this campaign promise, the easiest one to fulfill, they know why. So, I would assume there's a crisis of conscience for a number of people. The deputy director, just by refusing to go into work, seems to be suggesting, and like I said, the consensus is we don't have a secondary source outside of Axios, but the consensus appears to be that he is preparing his resignation letter, and it's going to be either Bondi or him. Bondi is taking the hit, because the reason she's not releasing it isn't because she doesn't want to or doesn't think it should be released. It's because she's been told not to, because she was about to release it. She was about to. Then she changed her mind. No. She was ordered not to by the only person who can issue that order. So, getting into a fight with her over it does nothing, unless you're trying to convince her to go against the president and or resign over the issue. That is what Alan Dershowitz was in large part trying to do. Not specifically this, but apply pressure to the administration through people of conscience in MAGA who genuinely wanted this released. And that's what they voted for. And there are some single-issue voters who said, I may not agree with Trump on immigration, but that Epstein list implicates half of Washington. You can't not let that go. Or you can't let that go. You understand what I'm saying. So, Vlad has a point of, and Maxwell is the other problem, which a number of people have brought up. If Epstein is dead and there were no files or evidence implicating anyone else, then what exactly is Maxwell in jail for? And the only reason she's dead is because her lawyers know everything, which gets back to, by the way, confidentiality. They can't release it. But she's probably told them, if I die, release it. And her life is ensured by confidentiality. Those lawyers, if they have integrity, won't do it even, quote, for the good of their country, because their first ethical obligation is to their client and that confidentiality. The law system can only work that way. So that's, again, why that confidentiality is important. And even, again, in Dershowitz's case, so he did the only thing he could do, which is say, I've seen it, I know what's in it, you'd be upset if you knew, but I can't say anything. Puts us all in a bit of a just sort of like, I empathize with the FU as the first reaction to that, because I was actually watching a video yesterday, and we've all heard, and when there's drama, and then they say, well, I happen to know for a fact that this person is doing this, or this person is doing that, but I can't tell you. I can't tell you what the evidence is, but believe me, it's happening. And unfortunately, the human instinct is actually to be credulous. It's to believe it, even without the evidence. We believe what we most hear first, and we're more likely to hear an accusation first than a denial first. And if we hear the denial first, then we say, why are you denying it if nobody accused you? So at any rate, thank you, Titan. We have, let's see, FBI reportedly contacting media outlets and influencers telling them to, quote, back off the Epstein story or lose access to the administration. All right, if you can get me a link, because I want to read the actual timeline on that, but thank you. That would not surprise me. The reality is Lance has compared this administration to a mafia organization. It was also compared to a mafia organization when the United States tried to sanction a member of the genocide, the teams that go out and confirm genocide has been committed. A member of that team has come out and said genocide is occurring and has occurred in Israel, and the U.S. has sanctioned her personally for saying that. And she pointed out that that's what the mafia does. It's like you're either with us or against us, and there's no middle ground. And she's like, I'm not, I'm just saying reality. This is what's happening. Approve, don't approve. This is what's happening, and we all know what's happening, so I don't understand. But, well, again, that's mafioso. So I'm going to quickly check the live chat. $20 dunk on you. Popcorn, more for the lights. Thank you, sir. You're going to need more electricity, by the way. Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. My electrical bill, my last place, I had 1 month that was $800. And gifted 5 memberships. Thank you. The good news is here it's a lot cheaper, so we're doing well. We're going to keep an eye on that. Let me check one other thing. I want to check 2 sources before we wrap that up. But the short takeaway so far is that Axios is reporting that Dawn Bongino has gotten into a fight with Pam Bondi over her failure to release the files. That fight happened last night, and it was so extensive that he refused to come into work this morning. They believe, although I don't know their source or reason for believing this, that he is preparing a letter of resignation, and that if Bondi is not fired, he will resign. It has been it's been on Twitter also that Kash Patel is considering doing the same thing. We don't have confirmation, so we have no way of knowing, but given how vehemently Kash Patel said that he would see this released and that there was no place for this kind of thing in the United States, I could see him being upset at the files not being released. Again, we had Alan Dershowitz coming out earlier today saying there is such a file. Thank you, Titan. That there is such a file, and that there are names on it, and would all be shocked by the names, and they're big, important people. And again, we know Trump has been on the plane. We know the Clintons have been on the plane. And we have pictures, and we've got the footage that we've shown you, the very creepy footage of Trump hanging with Epstein, telling him jokes and all of that other stuff. So it looks like we are at the beginning of what could be a significant crack in the administration, because if they resign over this, that's going to give everybody in MAGA who takes this seriously a lot of ammunition. And it's going to make members of Congress who genuinely do want to see the list out, and that is a number of them, get far more involved. And people are going to say, wait a minute, why are you having your FBI director resign over keeping the simplest campaign promise that you made, which was to release those files? And since those files are copied in New York, if he chooses not to release them, Congress can subpoena them out of New York. They don't have to go to the White House. So this may well be a tipping point in the Trump administration. We will see. We will stay on it. But once we learned that any upper member of the Trump cabinet was considering resigning, in my view, given that loyalty has been there's something, they are in trouble. So that's what we have. We will, if we learn anything new that's significant, we will go live. If it's just sort of incremental updates, you'll find them on our Discord. So come join us on the Discord. Thank you, 𝐍𝐢𝐜𝐴. You've been a huge supporter and regular supporter, and I appreciate that. Let's see. Thank you to the mods. Thank you to Titan and everyone who's been helping. Thank you. Vlad had a. Oh, yep. Yeah. That Vlad, I think's got a point. That first time they asked him, I think, yeah, he was never going to release it. So we'll see what happens. And thank you to Kate, whose presence is always an absolute delight in the channel, even if I don't get to even if I'm too busy to engage in the live chat. So thank you all. It is good to see you. And again, next scheduled show is Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, with a Xandering. I'm going to call a Xandering because we've done enough of these. I'd really like to have him on and get his opinion. We just didn't anticipate quite this much going on today. So, again, just a quick rundown. There has been a fatality in the, botched ICE raid yesterday. There's still 200, they believe 200 people have been taken. A number of people, including U.S. citizens, are missing and unaccounted for, and their families don't know where they are. Nobody knows where they are. That ostensibly means they are in ICE custody, and we will keep an eye on that one as well, because that is frightening, that just picking people up. We're not quite to where we were at his Portland phase in his first term, which was a phase because he stopped just picking people up off the street with masked men that didn't identify themselves and going to courts that didn't keep records. He hasn't done that yet this term, so I guess we're ahead of the game. Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you soon. Have a good night.